Coach, always fun having you around. I know we don't want to revisit too much of the Browns game. Not a great feeling, but I thought there were some really good efforts and really good things that people did. First off, let's talk about our guy, Danny Johnson. I thought he had an excellent game going up against their number one receiver, making a ton of plays. I think people recognize the defensive line, the production they had, but I see him here jamming this up and really disrupting the timing. You see the quarterback, he wants to throw the football. And, what does it mean to have a young guy, who got cut and re-signed, making plays like this for you at this point?
Well, it means a lot because, first of all, Danny's a heck of a young man who really works truly at his game. Right now that they're running a slant drag combination, and again, the quarterback's got two guys to read off of, and both guys actually get covered.
Yeah.
Okay, we're playing a form of one man here, I believe it is, or at least it looks it.
Yep.
Danny's got the X receiver. The back goes to the flat. Jamin comes out with him. He's got nowhere to throw the ball.
Right.
So, again, credit to these guys, which allows the pass rush to get close to the quarterback.
And, again, you see the defensive line, they think it's a three-step drop. The ball's got to be out here quick. Chase is kind of chilling with his rush. But, again, getting the quarterback off schedule allows these guys, Montez, Chase, to kind of get in there and make these productions. And they had a very productive day overall, Coach.
They really did. And, again, why this works in their favor is because when you throw away the quarterback's options, on a three-step drop, what that means is the pass rush is closer.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah, they're right in his lap. Absolutely. Right. And here is another example of what you're talking about, right? This isn't a three-step drop necessarily, but you get an excellent, we've been talking about these all year, but they're so fun. Like this TE, right? Coming around, and FA, working at that three technique for you. That's nice position flexibility. Does a great job here.
Well, what helps FA first and foremost is, again, he gets into the guard. It's got the guard turning his shoulders. So now what he's going to do is he's just going to ricochet off of the tackle. The tackle has no idea FA's coming. Why? Because great job by Sweat. If he leaves early, the tackle knows there's FA, and he'll get down to pick him up. But he has no idea FA's going to show up on his shoulder.
Yeah, FA, and obviously we know Deshaun Watson's very strong in the pocket. Doesn't quite finish, but I love Chase finishing here. I love how he's working to the football. I love how FA gets up off the ground. Montez is chasing for the football, and it's just a mad dash to get a sack, or, I guess this ends up being a pressure because he gets the ball out. But great to see Chase even running here at the end, coming off that knee, making plays. But really, Coach, and as you know, it's these guys that make this happen, right? They're in this cover two concept. They're matching at Tampa 2. They do a good job matching the concept. He can't get the ball out of his hands in time, and then they could easily give up on the down here, but then you get guys again saying, I got this. This is my guy. Let's cover these guys up so he can't get rid of the football.
Right, and again, because of the concept, they're playing the concept very well. What we've done is we've eliminated his initial throw. His idea was he was going to look vertical, but because we get out, we get ourselves in position, and we're forcing it for him to pull it down. Now he's got to try and scramble and make something of it. The rush is there. The rush has gotten to where it needs to be. Now it's a matter of, like you said, get that big guy down.
You got to finish him because he is a heck of a football player. But I love to see this effort and how everybody's working together and everyone's finishing this play because this is a long down, Coach.
Yes, it is.
It feels like forever. And to get guys where they're supposed to be is fantastic and getting that ball out. In addition to rushing the passer, you guys also played some physical football on first and second down.
Yes.
And, Chase just got back. And, if I'm a tight end, I don't like this very much because he's driving me in the backfield. You get Daron Payne here working to win on the quick swim inside and getting vertical afterwards, right? Guys just making plays, playing physical ball, setting the line of scrimmage, and then Big John Ridgeway just kind of in here taking up space and ends up making the tackle.
Absolutely. And the big thing about this, and you pointed out, is Chase gets vertical. When you set vertical edges on teams that want to run the outside zone, it forces it to go back to where the defense is. Because, again, what they want to do with this outside zone is they want to stretch the defense, and so the running back can find the crease. Well, again, setting the vertical edge is so important. Chase does a nice job. He's got to cut it back. Daron is there to make to make a hit. But what happens is, again, Ridgeway's able to press off, and now he gets involved in the tackle.
And great tackle. And Coach, we got to talk about Daron. What a day he had. He also did a fantastic job. He's just evolved so much as a pass rusher this year, right? Ability to win quickly here. Great job. And he doesn't quite get the sack, but you get a great finish here from Casey Toohill, running down a very fast, athletic quarterback. That's got to mean a lot, that kind of effort.
Well, the effort's probably the biggest thing, and that's how these guys play. They've had a good year as a defensive unit. They've done some really good things. We could have been better. We lost a couple guys, but for the most part, the guys that are playing hard.
Coach, got a familiar opponent this week with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you played them once earlier this year, and they haven't changed a whole bunch, but they do some things that I think are interesting, kind of unique to them, right? In this first clip here, they run a lot of five-man front, Coach. I just wanted you to talk about, because we run a lot of five-man front, about some of the advantages of it, and then they run a lot of stunts out of this front as well. And what are they trying to get out of it, and what makes it challenging to deal with?
Well, one of the interesting things is really the whole concept behind their five-man front is some people think it's just to bring five guys and get them vertical. Truth is, those five guys are all really just gap fillers in terms of trying to stop the run, forcing you to have to throw the football, and then they can attack the quarterback really is what they want to do in terms of their philosophy. But in this particular instance, one of the things that you're going to see is they're bringing all 5 guys.
Right.
Okay, so because they're bringing all 5 guys, as far as the center's concerned, quarterback's concerned, they're going to ID this as 5 down. So
right.
Each one of the big guys should have a big guy that's rushing.
The offensive lineman, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they'll go from there.
Yeah. And then, again, it kind of gives you one-on-one matchups, right, which I think is kind of common knowledge, especially with a guy like Micah Parsons who's pretty dynamic, right, which is a big deal. Is there any way you can kind of manage how effective this can be for them?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I like what they're trying to do as far as what Philadelphia did here, and that's try to get the ball out quick.
Right.
The hard thing, the thing that both the receiver and the quarterback have to remember is that ball has to get up and down very quickly. And I'm not quite sure if this is what they teach as far as coming back inside, but see how he starts to climb a little bit? He's coming back to the cover guy.
Oh,
instead of staying just a little bit more flat, you'd like to think.
11, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think the ball could have gotten out a little bit sooner.
Yeah, he's kind of waiting on it here. Yeah. Another thing they do here, Coach, which again I think is very unique to them, is they run this. I guess it's a TT or an NT, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they do it on running downs too,
yes.
right? And so what are they looking at? Are they just looking to pick double teams, or is there something else?
What they do is that they play the run on their way to the passer.
I see.
Okay, so again, the idea behind it is if we're running stunts, we fill the gaps.
Right.
And then the linebacker has to make them correct.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, so again, if you got 5 guys coming, they're running line stunts, and you really look at it right now. So if they ran the ball, where would they have to run the ball?
Yeah.
It's good. See how everybody's got a gap.
Yes.
Now, if that ball were to be handed off, it would have to wind all the way back up over to here because this gap is the only truly uncovered gap.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's really part of the process. Second thing, though, is because they're running the line stunts with the attitude of, hey, we're getting vertical into our gaps, and then what we're going to do is we're going to play the run. Look how much closer they are to the passer as the ball's getting released.
Right, yeah, it gives them an advantage in that. And obviously you might have some new pieces playing this weekend. Is there anything specifically you say, or just we all got to be on the same page?
We have to be on the same page. Once the call is made, we have to anticipate and understand that these are the things that could happen, and this is how we have to react to it.
Yeah, so obviously that's going to be a big part of their defensive philosophy. Offensively, I think people kind of sleep on the fact that they are a run-first football team.
Yeah, they are a run-first football team. And the thing that's kind of interesting for it, though, is that, again, they have a quarterback that has some mobility, which adds another dimension. Mm-hmm. And the thing you have to be always concerned is that anytime he goes like this, there's always that chance for an RPO.
I see.
And that slows down the pass rush. That tends to slow down the linebacker movement as well. And that's why, again, I think they become very dangerous if your linebackers aren't reacting properly.
Well, kind of to your point, Coach, I mean, Tennessee obviously felt the same way in terms of how dangerous they can be.
Yep.
And they start bringing this, what I call a run stunt. I mean, this is first down, and you're bringing this blitz here to the left side of the formation to stop the run. I mean, is there any – I mean, you guys have been excellent at that all year. Like, probably you don't need to do anything like this because there are pros and cons to bringing run stunts.
Right. But again, if you're gonna do specific things, you have to understand what's going on. Well, here in a situation like this is every gap is taken, but the backside left a gap. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you would almost anticipate is as a linebacker, you should be coming downhill right now. Even though 70 has gotten vertical up, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
50 should be beating him to the A gap.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, with the line stunts and with what they're doing, that can be eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just wanted to point out here, Martin, coach, or number 66, whoever this is, for him to see this kind of is pretty spectacular, to get his eyes back and wall that off. Obviously, this O-line's very talented across the board. Yeah. They've got some ability.
Well, what I'm not sure of, too, though, is the technique used by the right defensive end because, again, I'm not sure why he's taking a step like that because
– he's just got to get over here.
Right, because why? Because that linebacker's coming downhill.
Yeah, and again, that's where you run those run sets and you're not on the same page.
Correct.
Get 2 guys in a gap, Coach, and we know that's –
That's terrible. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, right. So, obviously, good offensive line, good running team. And then as a passer, they don't really leverage – Prescott that much. They kind of pick their shots.
Yes.
And in this Philly game, I mean, they're really in it off of coverage busts. And cover 3 way better than I do, Coach. And, in the media, Darius Slay is saying this is the safety's fault, all these kind of things. Could you just walk us through what you see here? And how do you avoid kind of having these issues with new pieces coming in and all that?
First of all, what's interesting, though, is they're playing some form of cover 3. And what's interesting about it is because it's 3rd and 5. Not sure if that's really the down you want to play that coverage in first of all.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to bait him into something or something like that. But one of the things that you always want to tell your safeties, we're what we call, we're going to favor the side of the field. We're going to favor the side of the passing strength.
Right.
So right now, the safeties line up to the right, where the field is and where the passing strength is.
Right.
Okay. But what he does is, I think he overestimates the release.
Yeah.
Okay, because with what becomes the two new 1 and 2 receivers.
Right, because they switch release. Yeah.
Correct. But they're both breaking early.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is the corner is now being influenced by the first out.
Right.
Okay, because he's responsible for that area.
Yep.
Okay. Now what happens is the safety has gotten a little bit too much width, because what happens is the stem release by the X receiver.
Yep.
Or excuse me, that's the Z receiver.
Yep.
That stem release coming inside, okay,
Yep.
has put him inside the hash.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what happens is look at how much room he's going to have to cover back to the sideline.
Yeah. Puts himself in a bad spot.
Yes,
and like
he
what
did.
you said there, which I think is interesting, you want to defend the field and you want to defend the passing strength. And right now he's not doing either one of those things.
Correct, because he gets to the middle of the field, all right, which gets him in trouble. The other thing, too, also is one of your indicators as a safety is especially in a zone coverage, is when you recognize where the passing strength is, then you can go ahead and take your quick peek.
Right.
So he never really takes a quick peek at the quarterback, because the quarterback is sending him basically signals as to where he's going.
Oh, yeah, right.
All right? He takes the snap, looks to the left. Well, now, if I am the post safety, knowing that the passing strength is to my right, I only have one threat to my left, okay, and he's looking to my right. I'm gonna favor my right as well.
Yeah. So all three of those things are telling him what to do.
Right.
And
They're
so,
basically indicators. And then when he hits the back leg, where's his head? His head is still to the defensive right.
Yeah. And so I think that's interesting, because everyone says, "Oh, it's a big coverage bust. How did they do it? Was it scheme?" And it's really just not playing your techniques correctly, and that's got to be one of your motivations going to this game.
It is, because more so than anything else is again, if you're playing sound football, you're playing technically sound football, you're doing all your base fundamentals the way you should. That's going to limit the mistakes. And when you limit mistakes, it limits the opportunity for big plays.
Absolutely, Coach. Coach, I mean, I really enjoy these sessions, and unfortunately this may be our last one, but I really appreciate all the insights you bring, and I had a ton of fun.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.